Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. As you can tell by the title of this video is going to be involving all of my studying tips for school, whether it be for a quiz, test, or exam. You name it, these study tips should work for you. It also should not matter what you're studying in school, whether you're in high school, middle school, college. These are some of the studying tips that I have used for years and I think really work, so I really wanted to share them all with you guys, especially since we are around that time of the year for us to go back to school, because I believe by the time this video is going up I will be on my way back to school. So and I think a majority of schools, no matter where you live, majority of schools are back in session, so I thought this would be the perfect week to upload videos that are involving school related subjects. So obviously the video that you are watching today will be my study tips, and then the video that I will be uploading on Friday is going to be a story time related to school. So make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, so you can stay tuned for that video that is going up on Friday. And I am rocking a new hairdo for this video. You guys, I am telling you, it is so hot in my room right now. I haven't even looked at the temperature because I'm too scared, but it is so hot in here. Like, I was sweating bullets even with my fan on, and since I'm filming I cannot have my fan on while I'm filming because obviously you would be hearing the fan throughout all of this video and that would just be annoying. So I am like dying, and my hair was just a complete mess. I have not styled my hair since the last time I washed it, so I was not about to put a straightener, curling wand, any type of heat near my hair. And my hair just looks disgusting anyways because I've just been sweating all day, and like especially right now for some reason it is so hot in here, and obviously the lights aren't helping either. So I just thought, you know what, we're gonna slap on a headband and just kind of, you know, push all that gross greasy hair, unstyled hair back. So it was either this or up in a messy bun, so I hope you don't mind my hairstyle. But anyways, enough about my gross, disgusting hair. If you want to hear about my studying tips for school, then just keep on watching. So in this video, I'm obviously going to be telling you guys like some of the things that I use for studying, like for example flashcards or something like that, but I'm also going to include other tips in this video, such as like a studying schedule, how much and how little you should be studying, and all things like that. So obviously one of the very first things that I always do when it comes to a test, exam, or quiz, what have you, is I always set up a study schedule. For me, I'm someone that loves organizing, and I just think organizing every single thing in my life just makes it a lot easier. So that's just kind of one of those things, is organizing or setting up a study schedule. And putting my own self on a schedule for studying, it really helps me to, you know, kind of stick to that schedule, and it keeps me motivated to get my studying done, if that makes any sense. Obviously everyone's different. Some people like to be really organized like me, and some people this may not really work for you, but this is just something that really works for me and that I do every single time. And of course there's many different ways to set up a study schedule, but the way that I like to set up my study schedule is usually a week or two before I have the test or exam or quiz or whatever it is that I'm studying for. I will write down the chapters that I need to study for in my planner. As you guys know, I love to plan. I love my planner. I do have various amounts of plan with me's on my channel, and I have them all in a playlist, so if that's something you're interested in, please make sure to go ahead and check those out. But anyways, I write down all of the chapters that I need to study for in my planner, and I actually take the time to figure out what chapters or what specific subjects that are going to be on the test. I write those down on the days that I want to study them. So yeah, like I said, I think taking the time to setting up a studying schedule and looking at the specific topics and the specific chapters that are going to be on the test or whatever it is that you're studying for, taking the time to look those over and assigning those studying topics to study on which day, I find it really helpful, and it keeps me motivated and it keeps me accountable to study, compared to not planning it out, setting up a schedule, writing things down, and just be like, oh, I have a test coming up, I better make sure to just study for those topics. Like, to me, I don't know, my brain just doesn't work that way, and most of the time I don't take the time to study each chapter or each topic like thoroughly. And also setting up a schedule like this, it allows you time to go back and study certain chapters or topics that maybe you struggled on a little bit more. That's usually what I will use my last day of studying, or like the day before or 2 days before the test. That's usually my days to kind of go back and review a little bit more of some of the chapters that I wasn't very confident on. So yeah, if you're a planner, even if you're not, take the time, set up a studying schedule and see how it works for you. The next study tip that I have for you guys is kind of goes along with setting up a study schedule, but it's more related to organizing your chapters or topics that are going to be on the particular test that you're studying for. So I really wanted to throw this tip in here because from personal experience, I have had it where tests or certain chapters that are on a test have a ton of flashcards, especially in nursing school. I have had it where some tests have like 500 flashcards. And it's like, even though those are the chapters that are going to be, or that's all the information that's going to be on the test, like you think like, oh, that's something you need to study for. But, you know, you kind of have to be a little realistic. 500 flashcards, that is a ton of information. And that's just for one class. You still have to think about all your other classes and maybe if you're working, your family, like that's a ton of information. And that's going to really put your brain into overload. So if you're ever in that situation where the test you're studying for, you have all your flashcards laid out and it turns out to be like 300, 400, 500 flashcards, take the time to organize your flashcards into certain chapters or topics and kind of incorporate that into your study schedule that you either write in your planner or just write on a piece of paper to remember your study schedule. That way, each day that you're studying, you won't be as overwhelmed, because I've definitely had that before where I sit down to study and you just see the number like 500 flashcards and you're like, nope, not doing that, and then you don't end up studying. So by splitting up your flashcards throughout the week for certain days, setting up your study schedule that way, and maybe you only see like, oh, I only have 100 flashcards to study today, or maybe even 50 flashcards to study today. That's going to be a lot easier for your brain to, you know, digest that new information. It'll be a lot easier for you to study that smaller information compared to the huge, all of the information. But the next thing I want to talk about in this video is the topic of overstudying. I personally believe that there is such a thing as overstudying, and it is not a good thing. Just because you study more than the next person doesn't mean you're going to necessarily do good on the test. And I think a majority of that is from because you're overworking your brain so much that by the time it comes to taking the test, your brain is so exhausted that like you just can't think when you're taking the test. Especially back in high school, before I even realized that overstudying wasn't a good thing or a beneficial thing, I would study nonstop and I would just like jam all this information in my head and just like keep going it over and over and over again. And it's like by the time the test came and I would get my grade back from the test and realize that, I didn't do very good on the test, like I could not figure out for the life of me, like, oh my gosh, like I studied so much for this test and I studied like weeks in advance for this test, like how come my grade is so poor? But then I realized, especially once I got into college, that maybe I am overstudying. Now, I'm not exactly sure what put that thought into my head, but one day I was studying for a test and I was really tired and I was starting to get a headache from it, and I just kind of told myself, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm studying a little too much for these tests, and maybe it's okay to give myself a break. Or maybe if it's really late at night and I'm tired, maybe it's okay to put all my notes and books away and go to sleep. And I also told myself is if I'm studying a specific topic and I feel like I know it well enough, or I don't really have to like flip my flashcards over and like look at the answers and like I already know it in my head, I realized like maybe I don't have to go back and study it 20 million times. It's like if I get the point, then I should move on to the next. So I started doing that and I have noticed a huge improvement in my grades. And I truly believe that is from not overstudying and giving myself breaks and letting myself go to sleep at night and get a good night's rest and allowing myself to move on to the next topic. If the topic that I was currently studying, like I got the point of, if you're someone like me, I am a perfectionist. I do not like to quit something unless I like 100% got it down. It's perfect in my opinion. Like it's very hard for me to quit anything, not only when it comes to studying or school, but that's pretty much everything in my life. But you really do have to like sit yourself down. If you're someone that's like that, you really do need to sit yourself down and have a conversation that it's okay to not study every waking hour or every waking minute of the day. Like, you need your brain, and your brain, you know, like the rest of your body, needs rest. So yeah, that's definitely something that I wanted to mention in this video, and that is something that really helps when it comes to studying and getting a better grade on tests. And this kind of goes hand in hand with setting up a study schedule. So by setting up a study schedule, that really helps me not to overstudy. So for example, on Monday, I can say that I'm going to study for these 2 chapters. And once Monday gets here, like, I study for those 2 chapters and then I'm done. I don't go over the information over and over again. I don't study extra chapters. So yeah, really, the prevention of overstudying and setting up a study schedule really do go hand in hand, because by setting up a study schedule, it really helps you to, like, you know, stick to that schedule so you're not overstudying, and you won't cause your brain to be overexhausted and overexerted. So by the time it comes to test time, you'll be able to kind of process everything, relax, and think it through, and possibly get a better grade on that test. And the next and final study tip that I have for you guys is going to be about what I personally use to study, and that is the website Quizlet. Now, I'm sure if you are a student, whether it's a high school student or a college student, I am sure that you have heard of Quizlet before. Quizlet is a great website, and they also have a app. I'm pretty sure it's available on Apple and Android, but it is a website that allows you to make flashcards on the computer. And it not only has like a flashcard function where you can just, like, you know, use your mouse and click on it to study it like you would usually, you know, flip over flashcards like you have on paper. It not only has that feature, but it also has like little studying games that you can play. Like, there's matching. It even has like a testing feature where it actually makes like little tests out of your flashcards, which I think is very helpful. And I have used it for years. I even used it in high school. I just personally think it makes studying so much easier, and not only for like the flashcard feature, but like the games. Most of the time I end up using like the matching game and like the testing, which I think are the most helpful, at least for me, when it comes to studying. And I also love using it because I'm a lot faster at typing compared to writing, and if I had to write out all my flashcards, like, I would probably get arthritis, like, because especially being in nursing school, there's way too much information. There's way too many flashcards. So for me, it's just a lot easier to type everything out. I mean, it's not like typing is good for your, you know, phalanges either, but for me, it's just a lot easier to type than write. Yeah, like I already mentioned, there is an app. I believe it's available on Android and Apple, but I have that downloaded on my phone. So no matter where I'm at, if I have downtime, I still have my flashcards with me at all times. So if I do have downtime, I can study on the go, which I think is absolutely perfect. Yeah, that is the main thing, and pretty much the only thing that I use for studying. Very rarely do I, like, you know, read through my textbooks. I pretty much just make my flashcards, especially while I'm in lecture. Like, while like my professor's like going over the information on the PowerPoint, I'm just sitting there through class, like obviously listening, but like making my flashcards throughout class. And for me, that has been very helpful, and that's something that I have used for years. This is not a sponsored video. This is not sponsored by Quizlet, but I really just wanted to take the time to talk about Quizlet and kind of tell you about like what features they have and how you can use it whether on your computer or on your phone. So yeah, if that's something that sounds interesting to you and you haven't tried it before, I definitely recommend that you try it out. Oh, and another great thing about Quizlet is you can actually search for like flashcards. Like, if other people, they have like Quizlet accounts and they made like a flashcard for this subject or like a chapter in this book, you can usually like look up the book that you want to find the chapter for or type in the chapter, and you can usually find flashcards from other people if they have it on public. I've used that before sometimes. Certain weeks that I've been really busy and I haven't had time to make my own flashcards, I'll just go on to Quizlet, search the chapter that I need to study for, and I can usually find someone that has made a set flashcards for that chapter. So that's another cool thing on Quizlet that I use all the time as well. So yeah, those are all of the studying tips that I have for you guys. If you found these tips helpful in some way, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And make sure to stay tuned for this Friday, where I will be uploading a school-related story time, which is kind of embarrassing, but probably relatable at the same time. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for that video coming up on Friday. And yeah, I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Good luck if you yourself are going back to school, and I will see you all on Friday. Bye, everyone.